Hello, Ed Cavalier here, Rosette FC football show by myself today because I'm being sued by Raygun, and I have to, sorry Raygun, I didn't realize that you owned standing like a kangaroo, and that just your reputation. I get it. I see why you have to take legal action against comedians. I get it. So today we've got our coming in hot. We've got our 2024 best moments of the year in football, and then some predictions. And thank you so much to Mr. James, because he's dragged in Sam Matterface. How good's that? From TalkSport and ITV, a proper champion of UK football broadcasting. They're going to have take us through the local UK Ange situation. By the time you're hearing this, he may already be coaching the Saudi Arabian national team. But first we go to Tennis Australia's favourite broadcaster, also Stan Sport Champions League broadcaster, Adam Peacock, by the power of Grayskull. Come in and take us through your 2024.
That's the easiest way, of course, for James and Ed very, very soon in 2025. But looking forward, start by looking back in 2024. Strange year, of course. Every year gets stranger as the world evolves. 2024, probably the highlight in the middle of it, football-wise, was Euros. My point of view, anyway, through that one. And obviously what he said with Jurgen Klopp. Got some headlines at Paul David. Hopefully his 2025 is a little bit better than 2024. Overall, the standout story to me, which has me still shaking my head, is what has become of Manchester United. It was meant to be the saviour, Jim Ratcliffe coming in and pumping money in and all his billions, or some of his billions. Took a strategy. Manchester United and funded it and working out what to do. Ownership of the Glazers, but obviously all Manchester United fans are trying to get back to those past glories, the vacuum left by Sir Alex Ferguson. They can't suck themselves out of. It's an interesting thought, but yeah, they at Old Trafford, which if you've been there, you'll notice it's not exactly the most modern stadium, so they've got some issues out. Still think they've got plumbing issues from the roof. But 2024 on the pitch, just kind of everything off the pitch translated on the pitch. The mayhem. Eric Ten Hag wins the trophy, gets past Coventry in a semi-final after nearly throwing it away. Fair play. They got to the final, beat Manchester City. Ten Hag had that testy little exchange with Alan Shearer after winning a trophy. Shearer basically staring him down like he did Roy Keane once upon a time and saying, well, is this good enough? In the end, Ten Hag gets back, gets millions to go into the transfer market, buy some players he knows very well. They get to 2 months into the next season and go, oh, this isn't working. It's basically, you wouldn't run your AL's team like this on a Saturday afternoon. Or maybe you would. Imagine if you had the money, though. But in the end, I think they've got the right manager coming in, Ruben Amorim. He's the guy. He'll sort them out. And whatever happens in the next 6 months on the pitch, you can almost disregard, as long as they don't get relegated. But they'll be much better in next season. But still, these things are coming out, these stories about what he's cutting and how he's going about making it a more efficient business. Like, the story that came out in the last couple of days about looking after players who are low income, former players, but now on low incomes, and helping them out with a bit of a financial help. He's scrapped that. It's just taking away the soul of a football club. I'm not sure what the soul was of Manchester United because it's such a massive business, but just these little things that will not go down well in the community around Manchester United and Old Trafford. So, yeah, 2024, it can't end quickly enough for Manchester United, but who knows what will happen in 2025. We're looking forward to other things in 2025 as football will no doubt on the pitch get less technical, more physical, and everyone will wow themselves at top speeds and meters run and all those things, and forget about things like first touch and fantastic finishing and brains on a football pitch. I know I sound like a cranky old man already, but I am a cranky old man. But hopefully it doesn't get to that. Hopefully that the beauty of football is still the most desirable thing when it comes to watching football, not so much these other technical things and jumping to conclusions very quickly about one result leading to imminent disaster. Tottenham. That never happens in football. Lamine Yamal is the player that I really want to see evolve in 2025, or hope to see evolve in 2025. There's nothing I can do about it, but sitting back and watching this kid, you think, oh, is he just one of the like in the band type players that by the age of 21, he's on his third loan spell? It's no, this kid is the way he's managing the game with the ball in Champions League games so far in 2024-25. It's just a kind of next chapter after what he did at Euros and what he did towards the back end of last season for Barcelona. So this guy in next season, next year, I mean, he's still not eligible to vote in Australia age-wise, and probably giving his citizenship, he can't vote anyway in the next election. But no, Lamine Yamal, he's the guy I want to watch and enjoy football while watching it. And the Club World Cup in 25. So this is Gianni Infantino's big, beautiful baby that he's finally given birth to. And it's going to happen in America, the center of the football universe for the next 5 years, with World Cups and everything happening, even Netflix getting involved by signing up the Women's World Cup TV rights for the next 2 Women's World Cups, 27 and 31. The Club World Cup, so 32 teams from around the world. Now, obviously in Europe, this is going to be looked upon as the biggest inconvenience in the history of time. And probably fair enough too, as a butt mechanic, so that. Fair enough too. The last thing that a team like Manchester City need, given what they're going through right now, is another few games at the end of a season and then having a 3-minute off season and then getting into the next season. But that's what they're going to have. They're there. And if you're not across the Club World Cup, it's basically 32 teams who have been judged in their continental club championships over the last 4-year cycle that they get there. And then because they've given so many spots to Europe, obviously not 4, but I think they've got 12, they've coupled in some teams that have had a good, over the span of 4 years, the coefficient ranking, I think it is. So teams like, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, RB Salzburg are there. Can't wait. The Ultras of Salzburg heading over to America to watch their team in the Club World Cup. But, okay, we look down our noses at this if you're coming from a European perspective, but think of it from a South American perspective, thinking of it from an African perspective, and this is probably what Infantino's got in mind, is shoring up support from around the world. They've done away with the Confederations Cup, which in the end was just another inconvenience to clubs. So Infantino was turned around and said, how can we help you clubs fill your pockets? And design with their $1 billion TV deal that they've done, they're going to be able to fill those pockets to an extent. So these South American clubs, for instance, so you got 4 of the biggest clubs in Brazil. So 4 huge clubs of Brazil. The 2 biggest, Boca Juniors and River Plate of Argentina. So you just take on that, you think, okay, that's going to be huge reception in South America for those 6 clubs alone. You've got 3 of the biggest clubs in Mexico taking part. You've got huge clubs from Egypt, Tunisia as well, from North Africa taking part, a big club from South Africa as well. So I think this is a wait and see about how big it can be. I think from that perspective, it's going to be massive and huge and a celebration for those fans. Good luck, FIFA, if Boca Juniors and River Plate playing in the final. Have fun. But Inter Miami being there is sticking in the craw of those at LA Galaxy, who ended up winning the whole thing, the MLS. Miami all of a sudden, Infantino is on stage after the regular season. He goes, get caught, you're going to the Club World Cup. Then El Messi and Inter Miami. They just feel a bit try, I don't know, but hey, it could be good, especially with this South American and North African influence. So that's my tip for 2025. The Club World Cup won't be laughed at as much as you think it will be. Laugh at me in July. It's been a pleasure 2024 and these couple of episodes that we've done. OZFC, looking forward to something more in 25.
Thank you very much, Adam Peacock. And in a statement, he says, I regret my comments about the Club World Cup and the Infantino Cup, and he would like to express his support for DAZN and all of the lucrative broadcasting opportunities that will be coming after they take over football completely. He said it's going to be exciting to finally find a broadcaster that I haven't worked for yet. So thank you, Adam. Now, in a moment, Sam Matterface, the legend from the UK broadcasting, James is in the UK and caught up with him to talk about the Ange situation, to talk about the fantastic chat. So don't go anywhere. But before we get to that, which is the main event, we're looking back and looking forward. So I've got my USA 1994 cap on because we've got looking towards the World Cup. But I'm going to go a little bit further ahead. So here we go, Rosette FC. This is the year ahead, but the year is 2035. So the year is 2035. The year is 2035. The Premier League has just been won by Charlton Athletic Red Bull, with Ronaldo Jr. scoring 1 goal but contributing 15 million Instagram followers. The team is managed by someone currently playing in the Portuguese 4th Division and assisted by ChatGPT. In 2035, the league is entirely American-owned, and the 39th game of the Premier League between Wrexham and Manchester United Red Bull draws 109,000 fans in Los Angeles, with a halftime show by Beyonce's children, the Hook Turk Girl, and Diddy live from prison with his cellmate Gianni Infantino. Saudi Arabia's new city hosts the final of the World Super League, where Mumbai Red Bulls beat Paris FC, brought to you by Amazon AI FC. The match sets a record for most viewers ever and most executions on a single day. The Socceroos and Matildas are in financial disaster. They were bought by Gina Reinhardt, and then one of them made a joke she didn't like, and she pulled their funding. They are now less popular with her than her own kids she took to court. Micah Richards' World Comedy Tour breaks all live event ticket sale records with his hilarious breast material, culminating in a show at the new Breast Arena. 3 people are taken to hospital for laughing too hard when he walks on stage and opens with, "I've never seen a breast this big. Don't you love that new breast smell? Is it just me? Or are these the best breasts you've ever seen?" Micah, how do you do it? Russia is welcomed back into the football, and the Trump-Putin Cup is won by the Mar-a-Lago Gropers, beating the Putin political prisoners in a final in North Korea. On Netflix, brought to you by the Saudi Arabian Human Rights Betting Corporation. Happy 2035, everybody. You can now remove your VR goggles and the anal implant that comes with it. Before I forget, here is the video that Adam wanted me to play 25 minutes ago. He is right. This was the best moment of 2024. These are the Dutch fans showing us all how it is done. Take it away, you wonderful orange maniacs. It goes like that for 6 more hours. Safe to say that legalized drugs in Holland have never been more popular. And now is enough of my nonsense. It's time for some genuine experts in the house. Our man has been in the UK. James took a just tiny baby to the UK and has done a fantastic job not to completely lose his mind. And he's managed to hook up with one of his good mates, Sam Matterface. They work together at TalkSport before poor James now has to slum it with me and Peacock. But we really thank Matterface for his time and his insights. This is a ripper. So kick back like I'm going to and enjoy them catching up and then talking about the Ange situation, 2024, 2025, and Rosette FC. We're here every week for you in 2025. We can't wait to catch up and enjoy.
I will be crossing 3 days on the old baby. Whilst I'm here, I missed this opportunity to catch up with someone I know very well. I worked with for a very long time at TalkSport. Football fans in Australia and, of course, will know who this man is because they'll recognise his voice and probably his face if they're on social media channels. We worked together at TalkSport for a very long time. He's TalkSport's lead football commentator, ITV Sports lead football commentator as well. He is, of course, Sam Matterface. Sam, my old friend, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It is winter here, right? So why I'm dressed like this. I don't just usually rock around in a big hat and a shirt, huge sort of hoodie. But it is freezing cold today, so that's why I've just come in from outside. So there you go. I spend most of my life outside, so I dress warm most of the time.
Go to bed in thermals, I remember that. It was our ridiculous. October to about April, we used to work together in thermals the whole single time.
Don't go too early though, right? Okay, so that's the key. There's like rules. You can't put the heated Gillet can't go on until it goes minus, and the thermals can't go on until the beginning of December. Otherwise, everything's too early, and you will find yourself in a world of pain by the time you get to the end of February.
So, trade secrets. When I worked with Sam, Sam was always amongst all of the commentators across the press boxes up and down the country, TV, radio, you name it. Sam was always the most technologically advanced out of all of them. He'd always have the first iPad or a newest version of an iPad. He'd always have digitized notes, or he'd always have a new laptop, and he was the best at it. You have a heated Gilet. That's a new one. You didn't have that when I was around.
Okay, so I've got now. I've only used the heated Gilet once this year. That was when I went to the Czech Republic to do Manchester United away in Pilsen. And I also have a heated pair of gloves, and yeah, that's it. I had the thickest jacket you've ever seen in the world, right? It's like a quilt. It really is. These are things you live in, right? Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's old.
To be honest, this sounds terrible. Obviously, my friends and family have the joys of coming back, but one of the joys of coming back to England, especially for Christmas for the first time in 8 years, was leaving my old work coat in my mum and dad's house, which I didn't take to Australia with me because I would never need it there. And it's been absolutely handy. I know technically this segment, Adam, it is supposed to be a review of a favourite moment of 2024, or a preview and a prediction of what we think might happen in 2025. So I am cheating with this because I'm speaking to someone that is in the thick of the action. This man's attended more Premier League matches than most people have probably watched in Australia. He's involved in that in a lot of things. So, Sam, when we're going to talk about Ange Spurs, before we logged onto this call, I thought I'll just have a Google News search to see what the latest is. And the first thing that popped up when I typed in Ange Postecoglou's name was from the Daily Mirror and the Daily Mail. Tottenham makes sack decision on Ange Postecoglou amid woeful Premier League run. So they're now saying, these articles are saying that his future is likely to hinge on the Carabao Cup semi-finals against Liverpool. Just before we crack on with that, what's your initial reaction to that? And am I right in saying that you know this industry better than anyone? Stories like that come out when they're either being leaked or there is a very good source, especially when it appears in two papers, that wants that story out there.
Yeah, I mean, I would always err on the caution of just taking the headline said. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what the depth of the story is and how much that sort of is indicating that there is a decision to be made there. I mean, that sounds alarmist to me because he is well thought of still by most of the fans. I think has certainly been over the course of the last 6 weeks a shift in that. And there's been a lot more skepticism, people asking more questions that he doesn't like, questions that he doesn't want to answer. But he has certainly had more scrutiny over the last couple of weeks. Whether it hinges on the Carabao Cup semi-final, I mean, predicting what Daniel Levy is going to do is a fool's game. Because if you remember, a couple of seasons ago, in fact, it might have been 5, when Tottenham were last heading towards the Carabao Cup final, 5 days before they got to the final, they negotiated the semi-final by this point. 5 days before they got to the final, they sacked the manager anyway. So the idea that it would hinge on the progress on that, I would be skeptical. But listen, these guys, I haven't read the story. So until you've read the story, so I've been through it, I can't really give you a sort of definitive on it. My view on Ange is that there is a lot more scrutiny now and there's a lot more pressure. He had a brilliant start, one of the best ever, right? I think he took more points from the opening 9 games of a Premier League career than anybody else had ever done.
He was only manager of the month, 3 months first.
He had a brilliant start. But since that brilliant start sort of came to a crashing halt against Chelsea on that November night last year, not this current year, 2024, but 2023, it's been a little bit patchy. In fact, I don't really remember a period where they've been consistently good since then. And that's because they've had injuries. That's because their squad is light. It's because they didn't invest in ballast for the squad in the summer to add extra numbers for the commitments that they've got. It's because they added teenagers rather than adding people who could be ready-made replacements for their experience, who do tend to pick up quite a bit of injury issues, so there is that too. I think the issue with Ange is that his refreshing approach to the Premier League has never changed, right? So he has come in with his methodology about how he's going to play. He's got his own philosophy about how he's going to conduct himself. And at the beginning, that was very refreshing and new when it was working. When it stopped working, it's become questionable. So people have said, why are you doing this? He doesn't like that. He says, well, you can't see the obvious. And if you can't understand what I'm trying to do, then I'm not going to bother answering the questions. That then gets people's backs up and makes people ask even more questions. So I think he has a little bit, I think he has a bit of a PR problem. He certainly has done over the last couple of months, the way he sort of discusses post-match interviews and occasionally pre-match interviews, but more post-match interviews, really. He's going to be a little bit careful about that, because once people start getting their backs up because you've asked because you're asking a very simple question to him, people then go, well, actually, why don't I ask a harder question? And let's see how you deal with that one. And then it becomes a bit of a sort of antagonism between him and the press, and then, how that ends. So I think he's got to win more matches. They've got to stop conceding so many silly goals. We're talking now in the aftermath of defeats back-to-back against Nottingham Forest and Liverpool, and a kamikaze football match against Manchester United, which they won, by the way, but they tried their level best to throw away. So it's been an up and down journey, and I think it's been bumpier in the second season than he anticipated.
I was listening with a car the other day to yourself, Alex Fook, who's a TalkSport reporter, and Troy Deeney. And it was very interesting, the point that you made. I would love to bring that up with you now to let the listeners in on that, because all good managers, foreign, English, British, wherever they may be from, when they have come to the Premier League, they have learned very quickly that this is a league that you will get punished in if you don't adapt to the conditions around you. The certain way, for example, you don't all the way back to when Stoke first came into the Premier League with their set-piece approach, and teams that didn't adapt to that, got punished consistently. I think you even made the point that even Pep Guardiola, when he came here, adapted to the Premier League. Is that going to be, if he's not careful, is that going to be Ange's downfall? Is that this stubborn approach, which he's always had that with the Socceroos, he had that in the A-League, he's had it in Japan, obviously, which is a tough league, the J-League, and in Celtic in the SPFL as well. Is that going to be his downfall if he is not careful, this unwavering approach to his beliefs and his blueprint that he wants this Spurs team, regardless of who is fit to play?
Well, if he continues like this, then yeah. But I think when I say that even Pep Guardiola adapted, Pep Guardiola didn't decide one morning, I'm going to abandon all my principles and completely rebuild the approach that I've mastered over my two spells with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. He thought, okay, so I can't just do all of that. I need to do some of that and some of this. I need to change this. I need to change that. And then even again, he's changed in recent seasons how they go. Obviously, they've got more physical, with 4 centre-backs over the last couple of years. They've adapted with players moving into midfield from defence. All of these things are new innovation for that team. And he's done that slowly over time. And he's adapted and changed the way that they've operated. They play without a striker, they play with a striker. He's rolled with the punches, what people are available for him, who the club have bought in to his squad so that he can, mould them. So he's had to change. You can't play one way in the Premier League. I was with Alan Pardew last night. Alan Pardew is someone who's worked in the Premier League as a manager for probably 15 years. And he said, sometimes you have to remember that it's not about your job as a head coach or a manager. It's not about imposing your philosophy on a football club. Your job primarily is to win games. That's the first thing. Now, everybody has a philosophy of how they want the games to play. Everyone has a desire as to how they want their team to operate. But you have to have that as your basic premise and then work out how you can utilize that to get the best results. because results are important. Now, Ange's view is that over time, this philosophy that he is imparting is going to become Tottenham's DNA, and they're going to become super successful. And it's not just going to be a flash in the pan thing. It's going to be something they're going to be able to sustain over many years. If that is the case, then that's absolutely fine. But like everybody, and I think Ruben Amorim even sort of mentioned this the other day, is that he has walked into a club which is in an absolute disaster zone. And he even knows that despite the fact that he's got to change the culture of the club, he's got to implement a new philosophy in terms of the way they play, style, a new system, he still has to, in the medium and short term, win the football matches. Because if you don't win, you don't get employed. And that's his view. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Daniel Levy has walked into the dressing rooms at Ange Postecoglou on day one and said, look, I'm going to hire you. I want you here. I don't care what it takes. You are going to stay here for 5 years, and you can do whatever you like to build this club into the Manchester City of the South. Maybe he said that to him. And maybe that's why he's so confident that he can play this system despite not having his first choice centre-back, despite losing his full-backs at least twice already this season, despite the fact that he's got an 18-year-old who's really a midfielder playing at centre-half alongside a centre-back in Radu Dragusin who is not at the level. I think if he continues to do that, then he isn't going to win as many games. But I don't know. Maybe he thinks that, I know he thinks that the long-term success of the football club depends on changing the style, changing the mentality, changing the outlook. But how long is it going to last? How long is the patience going to last? Because there is fractures there.
So, as you know, although my citizenship has just come through, I'm not Australian, so I have a viewpoint of Ange where I'm like, I'd say the vast majority of Australian football fans, both those who have loved him from his A-League time and those who have Premier League fans in Australia, they are desperate for him to succeed. Whether that's at Tottenham, whether that's, somewhere else in the Premier League.
And I think Tottenham fans are desperate for him to succeed as well, right? And there is a part of all of us that are desperate for him to succeed because, let's be honest, you would rather watch Tottenham and you'd rather watch a game with the entertainment value that his team bring than watch, I don't know, Ipswich put 10 men behind the ball and have no shots on target. And I think they had 12% possession in the first half of their game against Arsenal the other night. Do you want to watch that? I don't think you do. I think you'd rather watch Tottenham's game. And the example is Kieran McKenna changed his team's style because he didn't want to get battered in.
Yeah. But the question, to counter that, I think fans obviously would like to watch that, but I think those fans, and I say this given that I was fortunate enough to be in the posh seats at Spurs Liverpool. I took my dad on Sunday. And I was talking to some people with him on the train on the way home. And we were chatting to one fellow who said, look, people say, the whole "are you not entertained" line that Ange came out with after the Manchester United Carabao Cup game, and are now turning that against him, saying, do you know what? I don't want to be in a stadium where we're 3-0 up and I'm then panicking, shitting myself because we're going to see, we can't.
So the worst thing about that is that you said it, I said it in the commentary, I was doing a radio commentary, and as soon as the first goal went in, I could sense an anxiety, and he gives off the anxiety, right? So he's standing inside the technical area, his hand going to his pocket, his chin goes to his chest, and he shakes his head, and it's all very visible. You can see that he's frustrated that this has happened. And then all of a sudden, because of the history, because of what's happened with the games against Chelsea, at Brighton, other matches as well, everyone starts thinking, it's not going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. And then the second goal goes in as another mistake, and you just think to yourself, where is the management of the game state? And that's the key thing, right? Because he says, and this is the other thing that I think causes a few sort of contradictions, is that he says one thing one day and then he'll say something which appears to be the opposite later on. Now, it might be that people are taking very small snippets of press conferences and sandwiching them together and making it look more stark than it is. But he has said that he wants his team not to worry about the scoreboard, not to worry about the clock, and just keep playing. Now, when you're 3-0 up in a cup tie, and the opponents get a lucky goal because you've given the ball away on the edge of your own 6-yard box, you do need to think about the game state. You do need to think about the clock. You need to think, we've got to make sure we get through this, because if we throw this away, we can end up going out of the competition, which we should already be thinking about the semi-final in. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. When he then turns around and says, oh, well, we didn't manage the game state properly. Well, people say, well, you told them not to look at the scoreboard. You told them not to look at the clock.
Yeah. So on that, if you looked at, and I'm sure you may have he's definitely interviewed him, may have, but I'm not sure if you worked with him at ITV or you spent any time with him when because he was fantastic on the coverage.
He was brilliant.
Euros.
Absolutely brilliant.
As a TV pundit in Oz, he was the same. Super engaging, very analytical, very, just warm is the way to describe it. His analysis and the way that he comes across. When you put him in that position in a press conference, and especially in the post-game, he's looking at the floor, his body language, like you said, he needs almost a PR man to come in and say, hey, don't do this. You need to look at the reporter when he's asking you questions, and because it looks defeatist. But the attitude and the way in which I think the attitude towards Ange has maybe changed, just from my perspective, being on the other side of the world, is that when he first came in, you've been in press rooms where 1,000,001 foreign managers have come in to the Premier League, and none of them have really played the media and had them eaten out of his hand quite like he did in those early days. I think they loved the fact he had that Australian bullishness and the use of the word mate all the time. And I think he was a breath of fresh air. Some people in Australia, and I know they do think this, believe that he's being judged now, and the criticism of him is harsher because they feel as though the attitude is now, he's an Australian, what do they know about football? How do you
I don't think that's true.
I agree.
I would hope that isn't true. I actually think that he has been embraced, actually. And it sounds ridiculous because everybody knows he's Australian, right? And everyone knows that he he does throw in the mate word, and he does talk with an Australian accent. But I think a lot of people also recognise that he's come from Scotland, and he's been in charge of a successful Scottish team, and he's been all around the world coaching. So this is the World League. The Premier League is the World League. We've got managers and coaches and players from every single country. I don't think that they're treated hard. Actually, if you really analyse it, the English managers are treated a bit harsher than everybody else. I mean, the English managers that get jobs in the Premier League are hounded out faster than anybody. I think it is the intense glare of the Premier League. The Premier League is, all eyes are on it, and everybody's asking questions. And he's under pressure, obviously. And his way of dealing with it is by being level. It's being going level when they're winning and being level when they're losing. There's always pressure in the Premier League, right? And there's always an intense glare on anybody who is at a huge club like Tottenham. There's expectation at Tottenham. They want to win something. The wait for silverware has been so long that they're desperate for this guy to succeed. And it started so well, so they went really high, really quickly. The expectation level went through the roof. And he was asked, I remember this, I did it. But I asked him, can you win the league? And he went, does it say anywhere in the rule book that you can't? And because he never downplayed that fueled expectations. Yeah. He was asked about Tottenham fans dreaming of winning the league, and he said, well, let them dream, because he wants to create that culture, right? He wants them to think about winning long term in the future. So because of that, I think then when you don't deliver and you do find yourself in a sticky spot, and they are in a sticky spot, they look a bit of a mess at the moment, but they've got a load of injuries, and I know all that. Then the criticism's going to come because he hasn't changed his approach, and people feel that he is part responsible for their downfall in results. But it might all change again in 2 weeks' time.
So last one, why don't you get back to your research? Maybe do the Premier League game as we record this tomorrow, Sunday in the UK. So 4 losses in the last 5 league games. I think Wolves and Newcastle went up next. 2 teams who are Wolves definitely had a new manager now, so Newcastle are a team in form at the moment. The 12th
in the table. Would you be surprised if Ange didn't see out the season? Yeah, I would be surprised. I think at Tottenham it would be a stupid thing to do. Because once you've decided that Ange Postecoglou is going to be your manager, obviously interviewed him and he said, "This is my philosophy. This is what I want to do. This is my long-term vision for the football club." And you went, "Okay, yeah, great. It's a long contract to do that." If you then, after 18 months, decide that is not what you're going to do anymore, and you're going to pull the handbrake up on that, and we're going to go back to Antonio Conte style or Mourinho style or Espirito Santo style, then what was the point of doing it in the first place? It's time for everybody. You've recruited players that he wants to have a football player. Which I think more likely would be that they get to the end of the season and they have a discussion about how they're going to go forward, and he might turn around and say, "Well, I'm not doing that." They might, well, they didn't agree. I can't see Tottenham pulling the plug on it, and I can't see unless it goes really wrong, unless they 6 in a row or whatever, go out in Europe and go out and go out, etc., etc. I just don't see the point. I just don't see what you're going to get out of that. I don't see where would Tottenham go. Listen, I think Gareth is great, and I think Gareth is another one who will want to build the club. But you can't build a club in 18 months. No, it's impossible. No. You need time. You need windows. You need the ability to get rid of some players and bring in others. And in a world of PSR, that takes more time. Especially the club that has that clamoring for success today. They haven't won a trophy for a long time. They have arguably the best stadium in Europe. I was so impressed when I was there for the first time last week. Sam Matterface, thank you so much for your time. What's your next few weeks like in terms of the world's busiest football commentator? Where am I going tomorrow? Leicester tomorrow. Monday night, Manchester United. Doing a show Monday and Tuesday as well for Talk Sport. I've got New Year's Day off, which I'm looking forward to. Do the show Friday, show Saturday at Tottenham. Newcastle, there you go. What a guy, see Big Ange. And FA Cup, I guess we used to. You don't know exactly where I'm FA Cup Day, you know where I am. I am Tamworth versus Tottenham.
Oh, wow.
Not wait. What a game that would be. Sam Matterface, thank you so much for your time. Yes. Cheers, darling. Thank you, mate. Let me just
How about that? We need to talk to Sam Matterface after the Tottenham Tamworth game, not the Country Music Festival town. I think it's probably where we got the name from, or they got the name from there. And so thank you so much to Sam Matterface. And my goodness, that was the roller coaster of Ange. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're looking for a belated Christmas gift or something, may I recommend this PlayStation Pro ISS Pro Evolution Soccer 2. To me, it's the best new football game on the market. All right, that is us. Enjoy the rest of your whatever you're doing, and we will catch you again soon for more Rosed FC. Nice.